Good morning. Morning. All right. This conference, as you all know, is a unique collaboration between this state's 3 higher education institutions. And yesterday morning, during the opening plenary, we got to hear from a UC Regent, Bonnie Reese. This morning, we'll hear from top officials from the California Community Colleges and the Cal State University system, as well as student representatives from each of the 3 systems, the student keynote speakers, which is also a unique tradition of this conference because of the unique role that students have played in advancing sustainability in this state. So first this morning, we will hear from Fred Harris, who's the Assistant Vice Chancellor for College Finance and Facilities Planning at the California Community College's Chancellor's Office. Fred oversees the CCC system's fiscal compliance responsibilities for approximately $4 billion in state funds annually for support of the largest post-secondary education system in the world. This includes updating the system's financial accounting requirements, collecting system-wide fiscal information, and monitoring districts' financial condition. He also oversees the Facilities Planning and Utilization Unit. That unit is responsible for the allocation of over $1 billion annually in state, local assistance, and capital outlay funds to help provide the sustainable infrastructure necessary for student access and success at all 110 community colleges in California. Please join me in welcoming Fred.
Well, good morning, everyone. You ready for another action-packed day of sustainability stuff? Yeah. Well, thank you all for being here. I send you greetings from Sacramento, the land of furloughs and budget cuts. And we're persevering as best we can. I know it's, as far as I've been asked this morning to touch upon system-wide perspectives on sustainability and upcoming trends and initiatives, but it's difficult not to acknowledge what is going on with the budget and how it's going to impact our lives. Not just, we're waiting for also the budget to be settled so that there can be some decision on statewide bonds in 2010. We had a vehicle, SB 271, that was moving forward for higher education, and there was not the desire to deal with that in the first year, the 2-year legislative session, and hopefully that will get re-enlivened next year. But as far as the budget cuts affecting our system, bottom line, I would predict and say we're in a stage of mission change for the community colleges. There's change going out throughout the world on a variety of venues, not just sustainability, but specifically for the budget. With the cuts, we have, situations. I'm just learning, Los Angeles Community College District canceled their summer session. Mount Sac, or that we fondly call UC Walnut, is cutting their summer by half. What we're finding is that the system that was open access, what I call serving the bottom 100% of the students in the state of California, serving a quarter of the community college students in the country, may very well be changing that regard in being able to having to limit access, and that's what's happening now. Students are very upset not getting their classes as they should be, but that is the reality that we're going through. So that's my happy face in terms of what's going on in terms of system initiatives. What I want to also touch upon is that we've got a variety of things going on in the system relative to sustainability. And what I find in sustainability, people in education love to meet. They love to meet regularly, and what I like to say is that what's truly sustainable are sustainability conferences. So after this particular event, we're going to have, focusing on community colleges and sustainability. Next up is the Butte Sustainability Conference up just outside of Chico, August 13th and 14th. Butte College is having their 3rd or 4th, I should know that, but it's in that range, 3rd or 4th annual conference. So I invite you all to come and attend and benefit and join in and help us make that, again, another great event. Moving on into October in Pasadena, Green Technology folks are putting on a community college specific conference October 5th and 7th at the community center there. Then we move on to our annual facilities conference in Sacramento for the system, the Community College Facilities Coalition, November 2nd and 4th at the Sacramento Convention Center. And then we, soon after that, the next week or two, we meet with the trustees and the CEOs and also further ask them if they aren't already doing hyperactive on sustainability issues on their campus, why not? We do presentations on sustainability there, and then the wheel turns again, and we come back next summer for this particular conference being at LA Trade Tech, which we're very much looking forward to. So that's, there's nothing too big or too small to deal with sustainability, so I thought I would take just a little bit of time here before we move on to the other presenters talking about some of the trainings that are being available for folks, and invite you all to attend if you're able to, both in person. I think a lot of them are being webcasted, but I don't have all those details. But first, we're doing a lighting, energy, and efficiency training with the peer folks, public interest energy research folks, and the California Lighting Technology Center. So July 1st, there will be the lighting energy efficiency training at UC Davis, conjoint with the community college folks. And on July 13th at UC Irvine, looking at technology choices for exterior lighting, office workspaces, classrooms, and demonstration installations with case studies being highlighted. Moving on to, where the real work goes on in the kitchen energy efficiency training. One-day morning workshop on July 9th at Yuba College, how to save energy and boost your bottom line in restaurants and food service kitchens. And you would be amazed on what efficiencies can be gained there. You can please join us there, community college folks and others. A fall training and education series is going on, 4-course energy sustainability series, October 16th with San Diego Gas and Electric with Introduction to Sustainability. October 30th, Transformers, and again, that's not the movie, turning existing buildings green with Southern California Edison. November 6th, Towards Zero Net Energy and Lighting, Pacific Gas and Electric. And December 4th, the Water and Energy Connection, Southern California Gas. So each of these utilities will be doing these particular presentations in their service territories with teleconferencing to a variety of satellite systems using the community college net for doing that. MBCX, or Monitor-Based Commissioning Training, has happened so far in San Diego, Orange County, and Livermore. We've had, I think 80 people attending at least one workshop, and I think about 50 of the other, both the community college folks and their consultants, learning how they can benefit from doing more monitor-based commissioning. And then, moving on, just the last venue here in terms of a variety of initiatives that we've been working on to amaze and bewilder you. The economic stimulus funds coming from the federal government, the ERA, as we fondly call the ERA funds. We're working with the Energy Commission, putting forward 118 energy efficiency projects, representing $39 million in project costs that we hope to get funded in part, if not in whole, through their loan and grant program there. These are projects that need to be completed for December 2010. So stay in touch with Dan and Strahd of our office for those community college folks to try and take advantage of those funds. AB 32, the sustainability piece of legislation that Regent Reese spoke of yesterday and was one of the progenitors for. We're working hard on establishing a sustainability plan template, kind of using one of Larry Eisenberg's terms. We're trying to create several tools for the toolbox to allow districts, to providing them with a recommended framework and approach to meet the requirements of that bill's mandates, strategies, and tools to measure district and campus baseline greenhouse gas emissions, greenhouse gas reduction goals, implementation plan, and measurement and verification process. We've got a seed amount of money left over, some old federal funds that we're wanting to join with other folks, and I believe once we can set out this template process, it's going to draw money and interest and be successful as we roll through our system and the communities to benefit and implement AB 32. There's also something known as the Pacific Northwest Labs pilot project happening, low-cost smart monitoring and diagnostic systems for packaged air conditioners and heat pumps. Again, that's going to be on the edge of your seat type of stuff, but for those who do that information, you'll want to attend that particular workshop. I don't have a date yet for that. And finally, there's a variety of initiatives that we continue to work on, considering community colleges being the largest workforce preparer in the country, and a large part of that are green jobs. We're doing more and more in terms of new initiatives and integrating energy efficiency into the curriculum. I know at Los Rios Community College District in the Sacramento area, they just received a large Department of Labor grant to develop green curriculum for green jobs. I know at Saracosa Community College out in Ridgecrest in the desert, has been very active. I know Dr. Jim Fay there has been very active in doing both curriculum for the college, but they have a large distance ed program that goes around the world. They've received a large grant from the National Science Foundation to develop a complete online curriculum for wind, solar, and geothermal energy. And those particular efforts are joined by continuing efforts at De Anza College and Sequoias, just to name a few, dealing with energy efficiency efforts. And with that, I think I've burned my 7 minutes up, and it's been a pleasure. Look forward to talking with you later in the conference. Have a good one.
Thank you, Fred. I have a hard enough time keeping track of 10 campuses and making them feel recognized and acknowledged. I can't imagine trying to keep up with and keep 110 campuses happy, so Fred's doing a great job. Our second speaker this morning is Vi San Juan, the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Capital Planning, Design, and Construction from the CSU Office of the Chancellor. Vi leads the Capital Planning, Design, and Construction Department in providing system-wide management, administration, and long-range planning of the physical development aspects for the 23-campus California State University system. She provides operational direction for the planning, design, and construction for the $1.3 billion capital outlay program, and her responsibilities include everything from management direction for public-private partnerships to land use, utility management, and maintenance of the system-wide physical plant. Please join me in welcoming Vi San Juan.
Thank you, Matt. Such a formal introduction for a group that we've seen a few years already. Good morning, and just a quick PowerPoint to highlight some of the same items that is affecting the community college and University of California. The year has been a difficult year for California State University, and it will only continue with the budget reductions. So on the big picture, because this has certainly been a significant part of our workload and this last year as far as where we're trying to manage projects. So for the CSU, and the numbers are different for Community College and University of California, but the magnitude is probably very similar. In September, we were already short $215 million in budget with regard to our enrollment, so we had exceeded our enrollment target and didn't receive funds from the state to cover that over-enrollment. And then in February 2009, when they worked to solve the budget, we were cut about $100 million, and we were identified there would be another cut about $66 million for 2009-10. At that time, in February, the Chancellor moved to declare the first ever system-wide impaction for the CSU. The compensation for executives were frozen, and hiring and purchases were limited. The system-wide impaction, we're about, I want to say somewhere close to 10,000 FTE over-enrolled. And so those are dollars significant that we have not received, and that impacts the number of class schedules that you can have, the number of class offerings, I should say, the faculty compensation, staff compensation. And then in 2009, as we speak, with the outcome of the May ballot initiatives, there's a move to cut somewhere between $400 to $700 million from CSU, and they have been counting the years quite differently. So they're looking at cutting 2008-9, so it's June of 2009, but because of the federal stimulus dollars, they're looking at cutting a like amount out of CSU budget if they can fund it with federal stimulus money. The year we're in now, that's about to end in a few days. So very interesting gyrations in the state budget as it affects CSU, and overall that would be roughly a 20% reduction for CSU heading into 2009-10. The impact will be proposed changes in Title V. There'll be an informational hearing for our trustees July 7th, with the action later in July, I want to say 2 weeks later, July 20-some. The Title V changes would delegate to the Chancellor, Chancellor Reed, the furloughs for CSU, pay reductions, reductions at holidays, and what I'm terming super seniors really are those students that have quite a number of units adequate to graduate in order to make room for some of the incoming freshmen that we cannot accommodate. In concert with a mixture of these options, they're meeting with unions right now to discuss these because they are subject to bargaining agreements. The system will likely try to reduce FTE by about 9%, so that's roughly 30,000 FTE reduction for the system. And that will be very difficult to cut 30,000 FTE when we've already accepted students for the fall quarter. So you'll see some reductions in spring, as Fred mentioned. There, I know Cal Poly Pomona has cut their summer session, which is really painful because that was one of the campuses that have had a historical summer session, and it's grown to serve maybe 38% of the fall term during the summer, or the annual term during the summer. So that was, from the legislators' perspective, our perspective, a good use of campus facilities. I think it's difficult when we're looking at trying to graduate folks sooner. A lot of seniors took courses, juniors and seniors took courses during the summer to try and graduate. So cutting summer makes it difficult. The impact from the capital perspective, in December of 2008, the state suspended all construction projects funded from general obligation bonds. So for those new voters or soon-to-be voters, when there's a ballot initiative for kindergarten through higher ed facilities on the ballot, that's the predominant source of funds for the CSU for implementation of projects and promoting sustainability. As Fred mentioned, there's a proposed bill from Senator Ducheney, which is SB 271, which is a huge dollar amount, but would provide 4 years of funding, which is good for planning purposes. And community college in this model is still getting more than CSU, which we absolutely hate, but all's fair in love and war. But quite a high dollar amount if it were to go through, about $550 million per year for CSU, and that's up from roughly $345 million per year over the governor's compacts over the last couple of years, depending on which governor, governor we're talking about. The suspension did not apply to self-support projects, so your student housing, parking, rec centers. We have a lot of rec centers going in. Impacted over 400 CSU projects. A lot of those were the smaller projects, minor capital outlay, capital renewal projects, less than 400,000, less than 2 million in those two program sources. Capital renewal is our main fund source for renewing infrastructure, one of our areas I'm very pleased that we've supported. So that's replacing mechanical systems, upgrading electrical so you can not plug in computers and blow circuits, run air conditioning. So as much as there are a lot of small projects, it certainly affected our large projects too. The largest being our San Francisco Library addition renovation that was close to $100 million with the two components. I know Northridge is in the audience, so they had to shut down a performing arts center. There's donor funding, so we ran as long as we could on other funds, but with the state shut down, we could only last so long. So that's been very painful. We've had weekly calls with the campuses and shutting projects down. And usually I roll dollars amount I round dollars to the thousands in our program planning. And with this process, with the amount of dollars coming from the state treasurer's office and the state controller, we start matching to the penny, which is really painful, really painful. So since that time, we have gotten different chunks of money released from the state treasurer's office and state controller's office based on there being a budget in February, the state then being able to go forward and sell general obligation bonds and lease revenue bonds, and the federal stimulus package being signed. So those efforts have essentially brought about $427 million to the CSU. And now, right now we're working through the process to get those dollars released to fund the projects that we have now restarted. We had made the decision to restart based on trying to limit our liabilities with contractors and in the shutdown. So just a few areas for us to focus on today: physical plant benchmarking, the federal stimulus funding, our initiative there, key effort from our office, and then the impact of master plan changes. With physical plant benchmarking, this is a physical APA survey, the facility performance indicators. So those campuses here that have participated or are thinking about it, we were able to encourage our campuses to go from about 6 campuses participating to almost all of our campuses. So we're at 22. I'm very happy with that result. It's, I think, just our Maritime campus that's very short-staffed that did not participate. But some of the items that we look at system-wide is, say, energy costs, maintenance, facility investments. And I'm going to show you some graphs, and it is a work in progress. We have met with the campuses to try and normalize or identify for them where to get the data. So if you think of students and you're working on projects, sometimes you're not sure where do you even get the data for CSU, because it is out there. And we're trying to make it easier, not just for them, but it would potentially affect things you work on as well. So from a facilities operating expenditures per GSF, we now are able to look at our campuses and say, you know, where is everybody? And when there's data issues, but it starts to help us look at one campus to another and try to see where they are on facilities operating. Certainly, I always think we don't spend enough in maintenance of our facilities, but this gives me a feel for where the individual campuses are, and then try to identify why. So Channel Island's one of the outliers here. They have a cogeneration system, which we had to take on from a closed mental hospital, and so that reflects some of the steam purchased for some of the buildings that are there, and we have not fully occupied yet. This really just is to give you a feel. So energy BTU per square foot, start looking at metrics across the campuses. So East Bay, I think, is an anomaly. There's no great reason why they're off the chart. Potentially a reason with San Diego Cogen and Monterey Bay. I'm not sure either, so I know Mike is here, and he'll be working to reduce that number. Data error. But the campuses, you know, see this, and the presidents see this, and they want to be the lowest. So if I can get these metrics in front of the senior administration, then we have a better chance to promote sustainability and energy conservation, because they want to be the best, each of our campuses. Recapitalization, how have we done in reinvesting in our facilities? You know, for the way into the future where we can't afford to maintain buildings, you know, are we reinvesting to reduce their operating costs as best we can? So as far as the average, it looks like we're doing fairly well, but with these outliers, you know, it'd be potential that we'd actually drop down to about below our 13% once we look at these outliers with Chico, LA, and East Bay. Federal stimulus, as far as the funding, they at one point had $6 billion for higher ed, for renovations and modernization, and that did not make the final bill. An item that Len is working on in our office, so feel free to talk with him about it, is a smart grid proposal looking at the area of electricity and reliability research for energy. And we're partnering with Edison, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and Internoc, and it's building upon our monitoring-based commissioning program. We have a pilot in progress with 26 buildings across 6 campuses, and a smart grid proposal of $80 million would allow us to go to about 1,600 buildings. And it's a lot of money, so I keep thinking, are you sure we want to do this? But the excitement of monitoring-based commissioning that was mentioned at the presentation last night is trying to push us on, and based on the savings on the pilot project, I think it's very positive. Master plans, we've had a lot of issues with master plans in the CSU and off-site mitigation, and that is really our environmental impact of campus growth in our local cities and host cities. It has been a significant issue of trying to identify what is the impact of our growth, and so here we are trying to work with the communities and estimate our fair share of what the cost impact is. So at Monterey Bay, there was a lawsuit. The City Marina decision came out against the CSU, saying you do need to negotiate with the locals. You have to ask the legislature for your fair share, but the CSU has the ultimate discretion on what the fair share is. So there's a lot of, any of you going into traffic modeling, that's a whole world for you out there on traffic modeling. So I appreciate the work you do, and I'm still trying to learn more about it, because we think as campuses we should get credit for on-campus housing, faculty staff housing that would reduce the daily vehicle traffic. So our push coming up, Larry Piper's in the room, we're going to work on transportation demand management. That's certainly mitigation measures for both the East Bay campus and Monterey Bay. And so twofold in reducing our carbon footprint there is trying to increase lower impact modes, as Chris said yesterday in a presentation. So we're driving to produce a carbon policy, which we hope to have by August. So those are the main areas for sustainability for CSU. Thank you very much.
So excited to get going this morning and hear from our speakers that I neglected to introduce myself and to say hello to the webcast audience who weren't at our dinner celebration, so they wouldn't have heard me introduce myself then. My name is Matt Synclair. I'm the Sustainability Manager for the UC Office of the President. And thank you. I do want to welcome the webcast audience from around the state and around the country that are watching and listening in this morning. I think this is a good time to bring back up what Dave Newport mentioned yesterday morning, and to paraphrase Paul Hawken, if you listen to the facts, environmental in that case, but even these economic and budgetary facts, and are not depressed and pessimistic, you don't have a brain. But if you meet and listen to leaders like the 3 student leaders we're about to hear from, and other people working in their communities around the country and around the world to bring about a better future, and don't come away optimistic and hopeful, you don't have a heart. First student speaker we're going to listen to this morning is Luis Suarez. He's the Associated Students Board Director and recent graduate in Environmental Studies from Santa Monica Community College. From introducing carbon neutrality resolutions at AS to physically saving trees, Luis has played a significant role in Santa Monica colleges and the community's sustainability efforts by institutionalizing sustainability, participating in campus and community environmental politics, and lobbying for a learning edible garden on campus. Luis now works part-time at Sustainable Works as a water programs associate, and he is transferring to UC Berkeley this fall. Please join me in welcoming Luis.
Good morning. I'm so proud and grateful to be to represent the community college, the system, and specifically Santa Monica College. Community colleges play a unique role in our educational system. Our accessibility attracts a wide and diverse student population, students young and old, from different economic backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, international students, students who are transitioning careers and enroll into community colleges. So we play a unique role through our accessibility, and many of these diverse students end up transferring to 4-year institutions in California. I'm going to tell you a story, my story, of how I got here today and how students, faculty, and administrators can help other students find their way. Let's go back to fall 2005. I enrolled at Santa Monica College. I knew I wanted to help stop climate change. Opportunities for students to get involved at Santa Monica College were few and difficult to find. It wasn't until the end of my first year that I learned I could get involved with Sustainable Works, a nonprofit housed on campus that offers environmental education workshops, while professors offered extra credit to students for participating. Then I learned I could also join the long-running Eco Action Club on campus, which is pretty significant for a club on a community colleges because clubs at community colleges come and go. Or my other option was to join the campus grassroots effort to complete an environmental audit, which was done by faculty and some staff, and I could just write a chapter for it. So 4 years ago, it was very difficult to tap into the environmental programs at Santa Monica College. You had to look for them in order to get involved. But then if we go into spring 2007, 2 years after, I decided to join a group of 12 students who I didn't know well to run for student government because we were frustrated with the inaction of environmental issues on campus. We committed to the mutual goal of bringing sustainability to the table. We campaigned and ran on a platform of community, service, and sustainability. Once the elections were done, all 11 of us, except one, got elected to student government, and our campaign oriented the college to our upcoming green agenda. So the first semester in student government, we brought supposedly idealistic proposals to the campus. That was changes to transportation, transform a plot of land on campus to an organic garden, a textbook rental program, and improve food services and green building policies. Everywhere we went as student government leaders, we went to committee meetings, and to see administration, to shared governance meetings, and everywhere we went to, we advocated for sustainability. They knew who we were. Every time an administrator asked the Associated Students Board for money, we made sure that their projects had sustainable practices, or else we weren't going to fund them. When an environmental item came up on the Board of Trustees agenda, we showed up there at 7 o'clock and stayed sometimes to 11 o'clock and made sure that our voices were heard by the trustees and our support for every environmental issue that came. So students, knowing your rights and knowing how and where to exercise your rights is crucial if you intend to influence the environmental politics at your campus. Then the following semester, the community college community, that is the shared governance committees, the academic senate, knew who we were and what we wanted, sustainability. We continued to go ask for help. We asked professors and administrators to help us. How do we get this garden on campus? That was just a new idea. It took us, it's already, at this time, it already happened 2 years that we've been trying to get this garden on campus. The following winter, we urged and supported the college president, Dr. Chui Sang, to sign the American College and University President's Climate Commitment, or as known as the ACUPCC. That is a carbon neutrality commitment as soon as possible or as much as a community college can afford, which he did sign at the Focus on Nation Global Warming Solution teach-in. And then after that, we amended the AES Constitution to add Associate Students Director of Sustainability. This is how we affected policy on campus. The students who participated in student government made personal connections with the professors and administrators. These professors and administrators had these personal bonds and connections with these students, and they couldn't say no to a student who asked you for help. And this is how sustainability began to be institutionalized at this community college. Today, at Santa Monica College, the environmental audit has connected with the American College and University President's Climate Commitment Committee in finishing the greenhouse gas inventory, and now they're beginning their campus action plan. And this process has cost the community college practically nothing. The college and the associate students pooled their resources to offer subsidized bus ridership. This past week, the Community College Chancellor's Office has approved the community college proposal for an AA in Environmental Studies and an AA in Environmental Science. Santa Monica College will have recently passed one of the first regional solar installation certificate programs, thus doing their part for green jobs. And lastly, most importantly, the college has also approved 4 institutional learning outcomes. This is part of institutional sustainability into the community college. And the 4th one is the most important to me, which is also was to learn to live a sustainable lifestyle, which is ecological literacy institutional learning outcome for the college, for every student, and the faculties and administrators. And having this institutional learning outcome, it's the way you institutionalize ecological literacy, and it's how a community college can do its part to show and educate students. So the reason I'm telling you this story is because community colleges like Santa Monica College and all the other 110 community colleges at the state are creating student leaders, diverse student leaders that go on to 4-year institutions like UCLA, Humboldt, Berkeley, you name it, and while others get their 2-year degrees and they go on to the workforce and now going into the green economy. I myself am transferring to UC Berkeley this fall and taking what I have learned at Santa Monica College. I'm telling you this story again because I'm surprised not only how much we have accomplished at Santa Monica College, but how fast we've accomplished this by working together, listening to each other, and collaborating and being open to our ideas. And I just this story, I want it to serve as a case study for all you guys community colleges coming at this conference, so you can learn what happened at this campus and how these idealistic ideas can happen on your campus. And this story can be your story at your community college. Thank you.
As a testament to the adaptability and creativity of students, we found out less than 24 hours ago that the UC student keynote speaker would not be able to join us, but in his stead, we have one of his student leader colleagues from UC Santa Cruz. And because Rachel Shiozaki will tell you all about Tony, I will tell you about Rachel. Rachel recently graduated from UC Santa Cruz with a major in environmental studies and a minor in sociology, and she already has an impressive sustainability resume behind her. She took a break from school when she saw the opportunity to make California a leader in climate action, working For Environment California, she helped get AB 32, the Global Warming Solutions Act, passed. When she returned, yes, thank you. When she returned to UC Santa Cruz, she got involved with CalPERG on campus and then got hired as a Green Campus student intern working on energy efficiency and climate action at UC Santa Cruz, including leading a student research team on climate action as part of the Educational for Sustainable Living program, which she served as one of the core organizers this year. Rachel recently graduated, and next will be spending the coming year helping to train and mentor future student and young activists through the Green Corps program. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Shiozaki.
Good morning. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge this amazing opportunity that the last 24 hours has recently presented me. As Matt just mentioned, the intended UC keynote speaker, Tony Batista, is unfortunately unable to attend the conference and is thus unable to share his thoughts, experiences, and passion for sustainability. As I attempt to embody the essence of Tony by sharing his story with you all, I hope that you keep this image of him in the forefront of your minds. As you can see to my right, Tony is fabulous. He has determination, compassion, leadership, respect, and an intelligence that is a rarity amongst his peers. And I could not pay homage to him without acknowledging his charisma, humor, and sweet belly laugh that puts anyone he encounters to ease. So if you fall asleep, I realize it's pretty early, or if you take away nothing else from these next few minutes, just remember to put a smile on your face, always reach for the organic solutions, and all of you can be a sustainability champion just like Tony. So, Tony grew up in a predominantly Latino community in East Los Angeles. His parents immigrated to the States as teenagers in search of a better life. His mother worked as a housekeeper and his father as a short-order cook. After saving up, they soon opened a family business, an auto parts store, in which Tony learned the fundamental lessons of hard work, knowledge, and of course, how to reconstruct alternators, water pumps, axles, starters, and today, if you ask very nicely, he'll even teach you how to turn your drums and disc. Even before Tony transferred to UC Santa Cruz from Pasadena City College, PCC, in fall 2007, Tony was applying transformative environmental experiences into action. He co-founded organizations such as the Seeds of Change Club and started events like the first Sustainability Awareness Day at PCC. And when Tony came to UCSC, he wasted no time pledging himself into the campus sustainability movement. For example, the Cowell Student Health Center will be the first LEED NC Silver certified green building at the UC Santa Cruz campus, largely because of Tony. This project is one of 3 LEED projects that students will have helped with. This accomplishment was a collaboration between students and administration. The Health Center's project manager, Josephine Ortega, and the campus sustainability coordinator, Aurora Winsled, saw an opportunity to make this building green and went to the students to carry it out. They presented this proposal to the Student Environmental Center, SEC, and as Tony sat in the meeting, he was amazed at the opportunities green building could provide. As the green building coordinator for the SEC, Tony took on the campaign to green our health center. The campaign involved getting a measure on the student ballot, collecting over 1,300 student signatures, and running an effective election campaign. Even though students were not familiar with green buildings, let alone LEED, Measure 35 to green the health center passed with 64% of the voting population saying yes. By students saying yes, they're supporting sustainability and they're willing to pay for it. On the UC Santa Cruz campus, students tax themselves a combined $340,000 every year in support of sustainability. It's now time for the administration to match those funds. This campaign has gone beyond just constructing the health center as a LEED building. It now presents itself as an opportunity for staff to become more familiar with the process of LEED certification, which will result to the certification of other buildings. The Engineering 2 building on campus recently achieved its LEED EB Silver certification with the assistance of a student leader, Louise Huttinger. These projects build on each other to make a stronger case for sustainability. This past year, the first draft of UCSC Climate Action Plan, CAP, was released. As the Chancellor's Climate Action intern, Tony helped develop the energy section of the Climate Action Plan. This plan outlines the methods in which our university is going to achieve its reduction goals outlined in the UC policy. In order for UC Santa Cruz to achieve these goals, it will need to reduce 14,851 metrics of CO2 by 2014. That's equivalent to removing 2,475 cars off the road and almost 25,000 metric tons of CO2 by 2020, equivalent to removing 4,166 cars off the road. This will not be an easy feat. As the economic downturn continues and the California budget cuts continue to grow, it may seem that universities have the perfect alibi. And how can we ask our universities to reallocate money when they are faced with the decision of laying off staff? We are living through tough times, but it's no time to walk away. There is work to be done. It's time to be creative, resourceful, and economical. We have a great underutilized resource at our universities. That resource is students. We know how to do research. We have time, we are committed, and we can talk to the chancellor, lab managers, and other students without asking anybody for permission. As last year's keynote, Deborah Rowe loves to remind, you can talk about anything to anyone. And students especially, I want you to hear this. You can talk about anything to anyone. I want to join Tony in urging the staff and administration to welcome students with open arms and to seek their assistance. We urge you students, our peers, to step up. You can do it. If your campus is worried that they don't have the time or money to develop a climate action plan, no excuses. Students have the time and energy, and we will do it for you and with you. If your campus is worried that they don't have the time or money to certify a LEED building, no excuses. Students have the time and energy, and we'll do it for you and with you. At UC Santa Cruz, students have enabled the campus to move beyond inaction. We have created a climate action plan and certified LEED buildings, but students did not do it alone. We've sought out faculty and staff to serve as mentors, and they keep the projects going when the students have gone off to lead the sustainability revolution beyond the campus. These times may seem bleak, but as Tony would say, we can achieve anything with passion and hard work. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Jocelyn Orman, grew up in Boise, Idaho, and recently graduated from Humboldt State University with a degree in environmental science, ethics, and advocacy, and a minor in journalism. She spent 5 years at Humboldt State getting involved in playing leadership roles in various student organizations and campaigns, such as Renew CSU, the Green Campus Program, and the Campus Center for Appropriate Technology. As evidence of how multi-talented Jocelyn is, at CCAT, she taught classes in everything from sustainable technology to canning in the traditional culinary arts. In August, Jocelyn will begin her professional career as an environmental activist and journalist in Portland, Oregon. Please join me in welcoming Jocelyn Orman.
Good morning. Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." I couldn't disagree more. We need both. Especially at this time in our existence, in our struggle for a zero emissions and just society, we need to imagine the impossible and then have the knowledge to make our dreams come true. If we're going to get to zero, we need knowledge. And it is my experience that those of you who work on campus, that work for the universities and colleges, you are the ones who know how things are done. The faculty, staff, administrators, you are the ones who hold the institutional knowledge. You can unlock the secrets for the rest of us. And most of the time, you probably don't even realize they're secrets. But for the rest of us, the ones outside the club, the students and activists, we are well aware that we are blind mice fumbling around in labyrinths of bureaucracy. And just as much as we need knowledge, we need imaginations. It is the students and activists in this room who have the imaginations. We are passionate about the impossible. As freshmen, we come onto a campus and are overwhelmed by its beauty, its prestige, and our new sense of independence. We come onto a campus with fresh minds and fresh eyes. And as we open our eyes to the world, we begin to see that there is so much that needs to change, so much that is destructive, senseless, and wasteful. Now, it's been 5 years since I first walked onto Humboldt State's campus, eager to learn and to get involved. Since then, I have learned a few things that I'd like to share with you. I'll start with the knowledge holders, the staff, the administrators, and the faculty. There are 5 things that I want you to remember and to take home with you. First of all, in order for any of this to succeed, you have to hear your students and see your students. Take the time to meet with them. Take the time to hear their ideas. Seek out student events, meetings, and be there to listen and observe and understand where they're coming from. What problems do they see? Second, be patient with us. We're just figuring out the system. We don't get how it works, and we might make mistakes. But that doesn't mean we need you to hold our hands, but we do need you to support us. Because third, we're all in this together. We're all here right now because we are passionate about creating a sustainable campus, passionate about creating a just society. Number 4, be honest with us. We don't like being given the runaround by you or your boss. So if you don't have time for us or you aren't interested, tell us up front. Tell us about somebody who would be. We need you to be transparent about our campus's operations. Be honest when we ask you those tough questions. We don't always understand campus politics. So take a moment to catch us up to speed and give it to us straight, because before you know it, well, that's the 5th thing you need to remember. Students will do your work for you. If you find a student who's stoked about a project or a class in need of a practical application, put them to work. Trust me, we love it. We get real-world experience, we get the satisfaction of doing something meaningful, we get class credit, and if you're nice, you'll look under the proverbial campus couch cushions for some loose change to pay us, because we can't work for free forever. And I know you've got some discretionary budgets somewhere, even though these are tough times. So, for those of you with the imaginations, all the students and activists, I've got 5 tips for you too. First of all, see your campus and hear your campus. Do you know what's going on? Which groups are doing what? What projects are being planned? Show up to committee meetings. Show up to the student government meetings. Show up to other groups' meetings. Listen up and take good notes. Second, ask the tough questions. Because honestly, it's a waste of your time to show up to a meeting and walk away without understanding what's going on. And if you come up with questions after the meeting's over, ask them. Creating a dialogue helps create working relationships. Third, don't burn out. I know you've only got 4 or 5 years to make a difference on your campus, in your communities, and within our systems, so make it worthwhile. I know that if you're here, it's probably because you're an overachiever, which means you need to learn how to share the responsibilities and learn to trust your peers. For every project or program you are involved in, you need to replace yourself. At least one term in advance, find somebody to take over your project. This will ensure that your work is continued and it is a legacy rather than a blip in campus history. Which leads to number 4. We have to build movements on our campus. I'm talking about huge coalitions of people coming together from all areas of campus, every discipline, because sustainability is transdisciplinary. And remember, when you're working with the staff and the faculty and the administrators on your campus, if they're taking the time to meet with you, they're going the extra mile. And take a moment to thank them. Send them a handwritten card and say, thank you. Thank you for your support, for your time, for your encouragement, and for your hard work. I believe if we can just get our imagination and our knowledge to get connected, we can do anything we want on our campuses. Last year, my friend Andy Coughlin told me he was as excited about this conference as he was about Christmas as a child, which made me realize what a truly special event this is. We are a family, and once a year, we get to come together for a few days and reconnect. I hope the past few days have reminded you the importance of those connections, because together, our 3 systems are stronger. The reason there are so many vendors here is because we're a big deal, and we come with some big bucks. So when one of us goes to sign a contract, we can't leave the others behind. We've got to get connected now because we can't wait. Climate change isn't going to slow down just because the economy does, and we can't wait for the state budget to fix itself. We can't take no for an answer because we can't wait to get to 0 any longer. To ensure that we get to 0, I believe the CSU Chancellor's Office should encourage every CSU campus to sign the American President and University's climate commitment by the end of this year. And by the end of this summer, the Chancellor's Office should mandate that each campus shall create explicit climate action plans to immediately start reducing their greenhouse gases, because we can't wait any longer. Let's push the industries and the government to do more. Let's challenge the way we do business. Those of you with the knowledge, remember that you have the power and the responsibility to make the dreams come true. Those of you with imaginations, remember that you have the power and the responsibility to create dreams. As Thoreau once said, go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you've imagined. Thank you.
As you've just heard, the students are our conscience. And as I said as the first UC student keynote speaker 6 years ago, we need to listen to the students not only because they are the leaders of the future, but as you just heard, they are already leaders now. Please join me in thanking once again our keynote speakers this morning.